May 15, 1994, 13-year-old Christina Marie Plante left her home in Star Valley, Arizona. It's a small town northeast of Phoenix. She was headed out on foot to a stable where her horse was kept, and that was the last time anyone saw her.
She walked out of her house to see her horse. 13 years old. A normal afternoon. She never came back. No struggle. No witnesses. No real evidence. For decades, she existed as a missing poster. A face people forgot. A case with almost no story. And then, out of nowhere, after nearly 30 years, they found her alive. But here's the part no one can explain. Where has Christina Plante been all this time? Before we continue, thousands of people watch these cases without subscribing. If you don't subscribe, you might never see updates on cases like Christina Plante or the next story that still needs answers. We release cases daily, but the algorithm only shows them to people who engage. So take 1 second, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment where you're watching from. It genuinely helps keep these stories alive. Christina deserves to be remembered and heard. Christina Marie Plante is 13 years old. She lives in Star Valley, a quiet rural area near Payson, Arizona. The kind of place where people know each other, where kids walk outside without fear, where nothing really happens. Christina isn't a troublemaker. She isn't someone who runs away. She's described as calm, independent, and responsible for her age. And she loves horses. That detail matters more than anything else. Because on May 15th, 1994, that love is the last thing anyone sees of her. It's a normal day. There's no argument at home. No warning signs. No indication that anything is about to go wrong. Christina leaves the house with a simple plan: to walk to the stables and check on her horse. It's routine, something she's likely done before. She doesn't take much with her. No packed bag. No sign she's leaving for good. Just a short walk. A normal afternoon. And then, she disappears. At first, no one panics. It's rural Arizona. Kids wander. Time slips by. But as hours pass, something starts to feel wrong. She doesn't come home. Evening turns into night. Night turns into concern. Concern turns into fear. By the time it's clear something is seriously wrong, Christina is already gone. Search efforts begin quickly. Family, neighbors, volunteers. People start combing the area around the stables. Trails, roads, open land. Law enforcement gets involved. But almost immediately, there's a problem. There's nothing. No clear last sighting beyond her leaving home. No physical evidence. No signs of struggle. It's as if she simply vanished. Missing notices begin appearing. Small ones, easy to overlook. Local newspapers carry brief mentions. A name, an age, a last seen location. But there's no major breakthrough. No national attention. No dramatic development. Just silence. And that silence becomes the most disturbing part of the case. Because usually, cases leave something behind. A witness. A clue. A mistake. But here, almost nothing. Investigators are left with possibilities, not answers. Did she run away? Was she taken? Did something happen along that short walk? No one knows. And without evidence, every theory feels weak. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. The search slows down. Attention fades. And Christina becomes something every family fears. A cold case. Years pass. Then decades. Her name remains in records, but barely anywhere else. No major updates. No clear suspect. No explanation. Just a 13-year-old girl who walked out one day and never came back. But here's where things take a turn no one expected. Because unlike most cold cases, this one doesn't end with remains being found. It doesn't end with DNA solving a crime. It ends with something far stranger. After nearly 30 years, authorities announce that Christina Plante has been found. Alive. Her identity verified. Case closed. But there's a problem. No one is explaining how. No details about where she was. No details about what happened. No explanation for the decades of silence. Just a confirmation. She's alive. And that raises a question far more unsettling than the disappearance itself. What actually happened to Christina Plante? Because sometimes, finding someone doesn't solve the mystery. It deepens it. Comment below. If someone disappears for decades and is suddenly found alive with no explanation, do you think the truth is being hidden? When Christina Plante disappears in 1994, law enforcement does what they can. But from the very beginning, something feels off. Not because of what they find, but because of what they don't. There is no crime scene, no disturbed ground, no dropped belongings, no witnesses reporting a struggle, just a girl who walked out and vanished between two familiar places, her home and the stables. Investigators begin with the most basic question. Did Christina leave on her own? At 13, it's not impossible. Some children run away. Some try to start over somewhere else. But nothing about her situation strongly supports that. She didn't pack clothes. She didn't take money. She didn't leave a note. And more importantly, she didn't tell anyone. So attention shifts. If she didn't leave willingly, then someone may have taken her. Neighbors are questioned. People who lived nearby. Anyone who might have been around that afternoon. But again, nothing concrete comes back. No suspicious vehicle clearly identified. No stranger reported hanging around. No one remembers seeing anything unusual. And that becomes one of the biggest problems in the entire case. Because when there's no clear starting point, the investigation spreads thin. Authorities explore different possibilities. A stranger passing through the area. Someone familiar to her. An opportunistic abduction. But each theory hits the same wall. No evidence. Then comes another challenge. Location. Star Valley isn't a busy city. It's rural, spread out, quiet. Which means two things. Fewer witnesses. And more places for something to happen without being seen. Search teams cover the obvious areas first. Trails. Nearby land. Routes she might have taken. Nothing. Time keeps moving. And in missing person cases, time is everything. The longer someone is gone, the harder it becomes to find answers. Leads fade. Memories blur. Opportunities disappear. Eventually, the case begins to slow. Not because people stop caring, but because there's nowhere else to go. And then something even more unusual happens. The case almost disappears from public view. Most missing child cases, especially involving young teenagers, generate attention. Flyers. News coverage, community pressure. But Christina's case? Barely documented. Only small missing notices appear in a few newspapers. Short mentions, minimal detail. No deep investigation pieces. No widespread coverage. It's as if the case never fully reached the public. And that raises a difficult question. Was it overlooked? Or was there simply nothing to report? Investigators continue working behind the scenes. But without leads, the case quietly transitions into something colder. Years pass, then more years. Christina's name remains in databases, listed as missing, endangered, but with no updates, no developments, and no new evidence. For her family, time doesn't move the same way. There are no answers, no closure, just a question that repeats itself every single day. What happened to her? Meanwhile, the world changes. Technology evolves. DNA databases expand. Cold cases begin to reopen across the country. Cases once thought impossible start getting solved. But Christina's case stays silent. Because there is nothing to test. No evidence to re-examine. No unknown DNA waiting in storage. And then, almost 3 decades later, everything changes. The Gila County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Unit makes an announcement. Short, direct. Christina Plante has been located. Alive. Her identity confirmed. No suspect named. No crime explained. No timeline revealed. Just a resolution without a story. For most cases, this would be the moment everything becomes clear. Here, it's where the confusion begins. Because now investigators know where she is, which means they know what happened, but they're not telling anyone. And that silence creates a different kind of mystery. Not what happened in 1994, but what happened in all the years after. Comment below. If authorities find a missing child decades later but refuse to explain what happened, do you think they're protecting the victim or hiding something bigger? Time doesn't stop after a disappearance. It stretches, it drags, and for families of missing children, it never really moves forward. For Christina Plante's family, 1994 never truly ended. Every year passes with the same unanswered question. Is she alive? Birthdays come and go. 13 becomes 14 in their minds. Then 15. Then 20. They imagine what she would look like, how she would sound, who she would become. Because when there are no answers, the only thing left is imagination. But imagination is cruel, because it offers hope and fear at the same time. Across the country, other cases begin to break open. Advances in forensic science bring names back from silence. DNA solves decades-old crimes. Families finally get closure. But Christina's case remains different. There is no body, no confirmed crime, no evidence to revisit, just absence. As the years go by, her case quietly settles into a category many people never notice. Not solved, not active, not completely forgotten, just suspended. And cases like that are the hardest, because there is no clear direction, no suspect to pursue, no timeline to reconstruct, nothing to push against. Still, somewhere in the system, her name remains. Stored, indexed, waiting. Then something shifts. Not publicly, not dramatically, but internally. A cold case unit begins reviewing old files. Cases that never had answers. Cases that still have living questions attached to them. And Christina's name comes up again. What changed? That's the part no one fully explains. There's no announcement of new evidence. No report of a breakthrough technology. No tip revealed to the public. But somehow, investigators find her. Alive. Think about that for a second. Not identified through remains. Not matched through DNA in a crime scene. But physically located. A living person. And that changes everything. Because this is no longer just a missing person case. It becomes a story with 3 decades of unknown history. Where was she? Who was she with? Did she leave on her own? Or was she taken? Authorities confirm only one thing. Her identity is verified. And then they stop talking. No press conference explaining the timeline. No public reconstruction of events. No answers to the biggest question. What happened between 1994 and now? For privacy reasons, they say. And that phrase carries weight. Because it suggests something important. It suggests that whatever happened may not be a simple crime. In many cold cases, when someone is found alive after years, there are only a few possibilities. Voluntary disappearance, coercion or control, abduction that lasted far longer than anyone imagined. Each possibility raises difficult questions, and each one carries consequences. Legal, emotional, psychological. But without information, the public is left in the dark. People begin to speculate, quietly at first, then more openly. Was she taken and held somewhere all these years? Did she build a completely new identity? Was someone protecting her or controlling her? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, did people around her know? Because for someone to remain missing for decades and then be found alive, it means she existed somewhere in the world, working, living, growing older, not as a missing person, but as someone else. And that thought changes how people see the case entirely. Because now the mystery isn't just about a disappearance. It's about an entire hidden life. And the truth is still not being told. Comment below. If someone lives for decades under the radar after being reported missing, do you think that kind of disappearance can really happen without anyone else knowing? When the announcement comes, it's almost unbelievable. Christina Marie Plante has been found, alive, There's no dramatic press conference, no detailed timeline, no emotional reunion footage released to the public, just a confirmation. After nearly 3 decades, a 13-year-old girl who vanished without a trace is now a living adult somewhere in the world. And immediately, the biggest question becomes unavoidable. What happened? Because in most cases, when someone is found after this long, authorities explain at least part of the story. They tell you where the person was, who they were with, whether a crime occurred. Here, nothing. Officials state that her identity has been verified, and that, for privacy reasons, no further details will be released. That single statement shuts down everything. No explanation for 1994. No explanation for the years after. No explanation for how she was found. Just silence. And that silence creates tension far beyond the original disappearance. Because now, instead of one mystery, there are two. What happened when she disappeared? And what happened after? Think about the timeline. From 13 years old to adulthood. That's decades of life. Where was she living? Who was she interacting with? Did she have a job? Friends? A completely different name? Because one thing is certain. She didn't just disappear into nothing. She existed somewhere. And that means, at some point, people must have seen her, spoken to her, known her. So how does someone remain missing for that long? Without being recognized? There are only a few possibilities, none of them simple. One possibility is that she left on her own, that she chose not to return, that she built a new life and stayed away intentionally. But at 13, that raises serious questions. Another possibility is that she was under someone else's control, taken, influenced, kept hidden in plain sight. And if that's true, then it means this wasn't just a disappearance. It was something far more disturbing. Then there's a third possibility, that the truth exists somewhere between those extremes. And that's where things become complicated. Because if no crime can be proven, and the person is now an adult, then the story doesn't unfold the way people expect. There may be no charges, no trial, no public explanation, just a life that moved forward, without anyone else knowing. And for investigators, that may be the end of the case. But for everyone else, it's not. Because unanswered questions don't disappear just because a person is found. They grow. People begin to ask things that may never be answered. Was she ever in danger? Did she try to come back? Did anyone try to stop her? And perhaps the most difficult question of all, does she want the truth to be known? Because privacy, in a case like this, is not just a legal choice. It's a personal one. And whatever happened during those missing years belongs to her now. That doesn't make the questions go away, but it explains why the answers might never come. Christina Plante is no longer missing, but her story is still incomplete. And in some ways, that makes it even more unsettling than cases that end in tragedy. Because at least those stories have an ending. This one doesn't. It simply stops, right where the truth should begin. Final questions. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think finding her alive is enough to call this case solved? Should authorities release more details or respect her privacy completely? If no crime is proven, does the public still have a right to know what happened? And what's more unsettling, never finding someone or finding them without answers? Clapperboard final CTA. A 13-year-old girl disappears on a short walk. No evidence, no witnesses, no explanation. For nearly 30 years, she exists as a question mark. And then, suddenly, she's found alive, but the story stays hidden. No suspect, no timeline, no truth made public. Just a confirmation that she survived and silence about everything else. Cases like this remind us that not every mystery ends with clarity. Some end with more questions than answers. If you care about stories like this, cases that don't follow the rules, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment your thoughts below. Because tomorrow, there's another case. And not all of them come back alive.